And welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the vodcast. Welcome to the broadcast. Boys and girls, welcome to the show. This is Convincing Idiots. My name's Dean. I am two-thirds host of this podcast, or vodcast, or broadcast, whatever you want to call it. You guys want to introduce yourselves as I do my NPR voice?
Sure. I'm Brian After Dark.
And I'm Nick. And
Well, you went a total different range with that.
I am Nick, and we are Convincing Idiots. If this is your first time joining us, we're so delighted to have you with us. We are three very close friends from three very different generations talking about
With these voices,
all
you'd
kinds
assume.
of wonderful nerd and pop culture things. We can be found on YouTube and Facebook by searching Convincing Idiots. We are also on Twitter, and that is at Convincing Idiot with no S. On Instagram at Convincing_Idiots. On TikTok at Convincing Idiots. Or please feel free to reach out to us and send us an email at convincingidiots@gmail.com. Gentlemen, what are we talking about today, boys?
Okay, first, I went for like NPR voice. Nick went this whole fucking Zen voice, I wanted to meditate into that.
Yeah,
shit.
it's like
Everyone's
a nice
asleep.
meditation app. I was thinking that very
Wow.
same thing, like a nice meditation app.
Um,
You're going
Good
to
to know
sit
I have
down.
options. Okay.
you have options, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to relax. Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
Very soothing, Nick.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, our topic for today, gentlemen, is we're going to
Stop rocking.
we're gonna stop rocking.
I got to tell
rocking.
myself I'm
Okay.
rocking, and I'm yeah.
Oh, buddy, you never stop rocking.
You
never
are
stop
rocking.
You always rock.
Yeah.
I want to rock.
Who is that?
Twisted Sister. Oh, sorry.
No, you blew it. He didn't know. Did you know who that
You
was?
didn't know?
Yeah, I knew.
You
Twisted
did?
Sister. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
I was literally honestly I was going to say Dee Snider, but
Well, you were right also.
Correct.
right.
We
See,
would
I never
accepted
know.
that.
I never know any movies, so I'm so excited when I know a musician
Right.
because
He's going to
hey,
jump right in.
I have the answer to this one. I know this.
Yeah, we would have
Teacher,
accepted that as a correct
teacher.
answer.
Yep.
Mhm. So today we've all selected there's many years of our favorite in pop culture. I mean, so many years have so many good things that happen in pop culture. We had to select one to debate. We're going to talk about that today. And we're also going to debate our birth year in pop culture and see if we can convince each other on which of our birth years was one of the best in pop culture history. But before we get to that, how are you, Dean? How was your week, sir? So last week you had a pretty crappy week, literally.
Correct.
My stomach hurts. Where you had some plumbing issues and things like
Yes.
that. Was this week better for you, sir?
This week was better. Uneventful, which is good.
Yep.
I have nothing to report. Nothing happened. It
Yep.
snowed, and I had to shovel a lot for work. Yeah. I've got one thing actually I did do, and it's not funny nor interesting, but it's the only thing that I did in my life was I realized that I have. I'm going to go through this anyways. No, do you guys have in your cupboards? You've spent years upon years accumulating cups and glasses.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
From different bars or different, with different characters on it or whatnot. Well, I went through mine and I have a box full of glasses and cups that I have to get rid of now because I went like fucking minimalist on that shit.
That's good.
Okay.
I feel
donate
good.
them or
Yeah, I'm going to donate them.
You're supposed to keep like one for like every day, or like if you do dishes, that way if you only do dishes once a week, if you keep like 7 glasses, then you got one for every day.
I mean, we have like those plastic cups with the characters on it, Batman or
those little like dollar ones that are
we kept like 4 or 5 of those. They're water glasses or whatnot because it's just me here and my son, half the time. So I don't really go through that many. And then they kept like 4 beer glasses, 4 glasses for like drinks
Mm-hmm.
and wine glasses, stuff like that. A couple beer steins.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
But it did feel good to get rid of all that shit.
All right.
Yeah. But once again, like I said, not funny nor interesting, but that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy your cupboards are clean. That makes me feel a weight is lifted off of me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll go, Nick. I'll tell you my story. Is what it's interesting. The things that make you more excited when you're a grown up and a dad. Nick, what about
Right.
your week, sir?
Pretty much same front as Dean. So we recorded Friday,
Mhm.
and now it's Tuesday. So not a lot's happened. What did I sat around this weekend, watched some TV, and hung out with my kids, and did all that stuff. The normal thing. I played hockey last night. We
Mhm.
got absolutely the shit kicked out of us, so that was fun. It's always fun.
Did you score a goal at least?
No, I hit the post 2 inches to the right, and I would have had one, but no,
That's
no
what she
dice,
said.
none. Big old goose egg for your boy Nick. Nothing.
No, wait, are you talking hockey or your time with
Yes.
Dean's sister,
Yeah.
your wife?
I might have slipped one. No.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Hit the post.
Good.
She penalized him, put him in the box.
The coach has asked me not to comment on these matters. It's kind of a locker room thing that we keep in the,
Yeah. It's a
No,
secret
nothing
game
too eventful.
plan.
I didn't clean.
The
I didn't
awkward
clean
part
my
was the
cupboards.
mascot in the room.
It's a
It
strange.
makes me feel like a pro when there's a mascot.
Very strange. Very strange. I want to be the mascot next time, Dean. You've been the mascot too many times.
I think you should be.
Yeah.
Dean could use a break.
Do I have to do this again?
I'm just in the big
Just
helmet
keep quiet.
crying.
Keep quiet over there. All right.
Keep
I
the
asked
tears
you-
to a minimum.
Right. I asked you 100 times.
The sobbing actually helps me. Keep it up. Please keep going.
Yeah.
And Nick goes, I can't help it. This is awful.
Yeah. My excitement was one of my excitements last weekend was in my side door entrance, which is my primary entrance. I had this old carpet in it. I tore it all out, and then I laid this. Again, this is not like professional job, mind you, but I got some tile things. I laid those down, cleaned it up. I got to do a little bit more, but it looks like a nicer presentation coming
Nice.
into the side door, right?
Nice.
You just feel
and
good, don't you?
And these are things like, that was a dad,
Right.
a dad moment there. I really don't know what I'm doing, but it's like, I have a utility knife and tiles, and I cut and laid some things down, and and I got some trim last night on the.
Hey, there you go.
There you go.
That sounds pretty good.
All right, let's give it up for Brian.
Thank you. But I mean that threw me off completely. The stair things, the trim on the steps.
The runners or whatnot.
The runner, I don't know what they're called. Yeah, but I got those at the hardware store last night. Yeah, these are things that it's like you wonder.
Real men do.
Yeah, you wonder what happened.
Right.
Where did life turn and change? And it just happens all of a sudden to where it's like years ago to think that was an exciting accomplishment in a weekend was like that was unheard of. Now it's like, I feel good about that because it looks better walking in.
I don't blame you.
Like I said, it's a nicer presentation. I got a little fake plant in this I found at the hardware store as well.
There you go.
Walk in. Yeah, just like, it's a nice little thing, So,
Nice.
It's the feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Kind of like Nick's going to have when that goddamn dryer's done going.
Right.
And like, my clothes are dry.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Is the dryer?
Yeah.
Did you hear the dryer?
Nope. It was a total guess.
and not to bring it, not to be a bummer here or anything, but tonight I talked to you guys earlier, but tonight I visited some friends, and their dear mother passed away a year ago, right around this time last year, and they, the family got together and invited me to come, and so I hung out with them for a little while prior to the shoot here. So that was nice. These are I'm an only child. I don't want to get into a whole philosophical thing here, but I'm an only child, so it's like when you feel like a sibling to friends, you know what I'm saying, then it's very special to me, and it's an added thing. I don't know, it's hard to explain really. I didn't grow up with siblings. And these are, my friends, the Cunninghams, I've known for
That
30
makes
plus
sense.
years. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you feel welcome into people's family, for me, it's an extra special
Sure.
meaning. And I feel that way with
Yeah.
you, Dean, and Nick, and my friends, other
Aw.
friends as well. You know what I'm saying? It's just, anyhow.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's nice to be with them and spend some time and remember
Yeah,
their dear mother.
you've been over, many different family events with, with my
Mhm.
family and whatnot.
Yeah.
Mainly because my mom, likes the beard.
Yeah.
Keep serving up that ham gravy.
The ham grit. They beat me to
God
the
damn
joke.
it.
Yeah. Yep. All right.
Yeah.
So let's get into our. So I'm glad everybody's okay and still
Yep.
healthy. Looking forward
Let me
to
hit
do
that
this.
dryer. Let me turn the dryer off real quick. You guys introduce
right.
the segment.
All right. Okay.
Brian, what year
So-
do you have?
So I have my shirt, actually, just coincidentally. I forgot I even had this shirt.
Look at that.
With Optimus Prime.
1984.
1984. 1984 is my year of selection here. Now, for me personally, 1984, I was a freshman in high school. So 83, 84 into high school. And you guys remember your high school year was a whole different feeling and a whole different
Sure.
transition of life. You're starting to grow up more. So 84 would have been, maybe 15 years old, something like that, 14, 15 years old. So, yeah, so we thought we'd just kind of go through our years, and everybody has their own kind of highlights of that particular year. So I'm just going to highlight what I got here.
Now
Go ahead.
remember you're trying to convince us that that your year is better.
That's correct.
So I don't think, like, if there was a national tragedy, you're not going to really highlight and go, it was better because of this, bombing or whatnot, right?
No,
we kind of want to promote and say
Unless
why
you're
it
a
was
fan
the
of that
best.
kind of thing. I don't know. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, 84. I don't know what major. I didn't really look for bad news. You're right. So these are just things that happened that particular year that I looked at movies, sports, and a couple different things. I probably have at least 14 pages of notes for 84. So you'll have to.
Jeez.
I'm joking, but
I was gonna say I wrote it on the back of my hand.
Yeah. I crammed for mine about 15 minutes before I got on this call. So
I believe it. I believe it. At least it was 15 minutes this time instead of the normal 3 minutes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, this was more than a list. So
I didn't write
what
shit
happened?
down. I have mine on an iPad.
See, that's good. I
No,
have
well,
mine in an old notebook. Yeah, look at that.
I was going to write mine down, but I'm like, well, shit, it's right here, and I can just look and.
Perfect.
I was able to highlight everything on it. You know,
you don't have to try to read your own chicken scratch that way.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That is true.
Yep. I researched them a little more than a Lego book, if I may. So. Okay,
hey,
so
nobody else brought any other superheroes to the table. All right, that Lego book is all we had.
All right, so I grew up a Celtics fan. My father was a Boston Celtics fan, so it kind of got me into the Boston Celtics. So I became a very big Larry Bird fan, and I was very big, as we talked in a prior episode, of the Larry Bird, I almost said Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson rivalry. So in 1984, so Bird and Magic came into the league in 1980, 81. Okay. 84, they met in the finals for the first time, and the Boston Celtics defeated the LA Lakers in 7 games. It was actually a very great series, and if you're into that sort of thing, all the games can be found on YouTube. The Celtics were down 2-1, and they lost game 2 by 33 points. So it looked pretty dismal for the Celtics. And then they came back to win 3 of the next 4 games, including game 7 in Boston Garden, 90-degree heat in Boston Garden. Can you imagine playing a full court basketball game in 90-degree heat? That's just unheard of.
Can you imagine how bad that arena smelled?
Oh, it was probably horrible.
So awful.
Horrible. Can you imagine sitting next to fans like that, just sweating like that? Oh my God. So Bird was the MVP.
And you could probably smoke inside too at the time.
I am not positive, but it 84, I'm not sure. But yeah.
Okay.
So anyhow, that was pretty big in my youth, to watch Larry Bird defeat Magic Johnson, who beat him in college and all that. That was the start of that huge rivalry of the 80s with the Celtics and the Lakers, and they would go on to play the next year, and then 2 years later they would play again in the finals. So that was a pretty epic rivalry. We had the LA Rams. You might remember Eric Dickerson. You know what Eric Dickerson is, Nick? You ever heard of the name before?
I've heard the name, yeah.
Eric Dickerson was he looked like an 80s guy. He had the Jerry curls, awesome running back. He set an NFL record that season of 2,105 rushing yards. He beat O.J. Simpson's rush record. I think it was O.J. Simpson's record he beat that year.
Did he later beat his record by killing 3 people?
No, he was actually he's still pretty involved in he's around in the NFL and stuff like that. Okay, the NBA. Listen to this NBA draft, 1984 NBA draft. You had Hakeem Olajuwon, John Stockton, Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, all drafted in 1984.
Jeez.
So these guys there were.
Was it that order too?
I don't know. It was not that order. No.
Because Jordan didn't go first. I know he was
second. Sam Bowie.
Second, yeah.
Sam Bowie.
That's right. Yeah.
But those guys there definitely came in, and with Bird and Magic kind of leading the way, Dr. J was kind of fading out. But those guys there set the groundwork for the 80s resurgence of the NBA, certainly. Detroit Tigers won the World Series with Sparky Anderson as the manager. I always kind of liked Sparky Anderson, kind of a cool guy back then. I don't even know who he is. The LA Raiders beat the Redskins with Marcus Allen had 191 yards in the Super Bowl. Steve Largent for the Seahawks had a great season. And the big one was Walter Payton became the league rusher that year of all time with 13,000 yards. So he was great. And then the Summer Olympics were in Los Angeles that particular year. So pretty big year in sports.
13,000 yards.
That's right.
Jeez. That's
insane.
Yeah.
So he later, Emmitt Smith later broke that record, but Walter Payton was just an icon back then. I mean, this guy played for terrible Chicago Bears teams, and to see him do well was pretty good. Okay, movies. Top grossing movie, 1984. One of my all-time favorites to this day, Ghostbusters.
Yes. Yeah.
I recall going to see that in the theater. Great fun. One of the best, Dan Aykroyd. You know the movie. I don't need to go into it, but a great movie.
The new one's coming out this year.
Yes, I'm very anxious for that. For that. And the original cast will be in it.
Yeah, it's a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sequel to the one with Kristen Wiig and
No. That one didn't happen. They're pretending that didn't happen. Different.
These are like the kids of the original Ghostbusters or something like that, or family.
It's a granddaughter of Egon.
Okay. And they pick it up.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd's in it. Watch the trailer for that.
I'm sold.
Watch the trailer for that. It shows them they pull off like an old barn somewhere. They pull off the tarp, and there's the old Ecto 1.
Egon moves because, I guess after they kill the, Gozer or whatever.
Right.
Or not Gozer. In the second one, whatever. But it vanquishes all ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
So Egon moves out to the Midwest, starts a family, so this granddaughter doesn't even know he's a Ghostbuster.
Okay.
But Paul Rudd is one of her teachers, and he's knows everything, because he lived, he was alive during that. It was a huge deal on the news and whatnot. So kind of things take off from there.
Looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the other top 10 movies in 1984. Number 2, Beverly Hills Cop. Eddie Murphy at the top of his game. Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. Gremlins.
I love that one.
Karate Kid. Police Academy. Nick, we asked you if you've seen that. You have not. Footloose. Star Trek 3. Romancing the Stone. Purple Rain. Also that year, Revenge of the Nerds, which does not hold up well at all today, I'm sure. It was fun back then. The Terminator, the original Terminator, Schwarzenegger. 16 Candles. And A Nightmare on Elm Street. First appearance of Freddy Krueger in 1984. Great fun. Think about that year, and that's just some of the
an
movies.
Insane list of movies
Isn't
for
that
one
crazy?
year.
Isn't that crazy? Top toys that year, Christmas time. top toy right here on my shirt.
Sure.
Transformers were just
Yeah.
coming on. That was huge, huge, huge. And the top gaming system that year, ColecoVision.
Oh yeah.
ColecoVision, not quite.
ColecoVision was the one with the knob, right?
It was the kind of knob thing. The big
Yeah.
game there was they had the rights to Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. And
Right.
actually, those versions were pretty good. They also had like Turbo at the time was pretty cool. It was a driving game, so it had a steering wheel and it had a gas pedal controller you put on the floor, so you could sit in a chair, push the gas, and steer. And at that time, that was pretty
And
I was gonna
innovative
say
for
that.
a gaming
Yeah, that'd be.
system. Yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially when you go to those arcade games and they have the little pedals on the floor and you stand at. I mean, it's the same
Right.
thing,
It was
but they had it in home first.
pretty sweet. This is like again, so the '80s were pretty big. So this was think about this. This is just kind of the technology and gaming, movies, all that was kind of going to a different level in '84. Some of the music, I'm not, obviously, I'm just not going to read every album that was released that year. And I'm a big hard rock and heavy metal guy, so that was my thing. So much music in '84, including the Spinal Tap album, 1984 with Van Halen, the Scorpions, Love at First Sting, so Rock You Like a Hurricane, all these great, like these are songs and hard rock were part of the 80s, and you still hear Rock You Like a Hurricane to this day. Out of the Cellar by Rat with Round and Round and all that. Well,
Round and
that was my
round.
first quote unquote heavy metal tape that I ever purchased was Rat Out of the Cellar. You had the Great White first album, Last in Line by Dio, Ride the Lightning, Metallica, which is debatable in my opinion between Ride the Lightning or Master of Puppets, the greatest Metallica album of all time. You had Perfect Strangers by Deep Purple, Iron Maiden, Power Slave. You had Run DMC debut album, so the rap was just starting to come on at that point. You
Beard
had
light.
Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen, Purple Rain Prince. Purple Rain Prince, one of the greatest albums of all time, in my opinion, let alone pop album. Certainly Prince's probably best album of all time. The Cars, Heartbeat City. Some of the biggest singles that year. You had Careless Whisper by Wham, or George Michael, excuse me. Wake Me Up Before You Go by Wham, Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Relax by Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax. Again, these are like all decades albums and songs that came out in '84. Some of the stuff that happened in pop culture, you had the Apple Macintosh computer launched, $2,500 retail. And then at the time, again, this is obviously before your times, but they had a Super Bowl ad in '84, and they based it on George Orwell's 1984 novel. It was a
Oh,
huge,
okay. Yeah, yeah.
huge commercial introducing the Macintosh Apple. You had Band Aid for Africa Relief that year. The song to this day,
Oh yeah.
Do They Know It's Christmas? You hear that every Christmas ever since. That
Bono
came out
and
on
everybody,
that album.
yeah.
Yep, that's exactly right. Some of the icons of the '80s. We had the let's see here, the MTV Music Awards launched in 1984. Thriller album was the big winner that year from 1983, which 37 million albums. We had the AIDS virus was identified by a French French, doctor, not doctor, but immunologist. I'm going to say it wrong. Okay, so I can't remember.
I thought he was going for pirate there. I didn't know he was going to say doctor.
But they identified they identified the AIDS virus, which was a huge step in identifying the illness and making a vaccine.
See, like whenever I hear, when somebody they identified, I would just in my head I just hear somebody walking like, "Hey, aren't you AIDS?"
You identified me. That's me. AIDS.
Let's see. We had the first untethered spacewalk on the Space Shuttle Challenger. We had President Reagan won his second term at the time. We had genetic fingerprinting DNA profiling was developed in 1984. Sony developed the first computer disc. TV shows. Top 10 TV shows: Dynasty, Dallas, Cosby Show, 60 Minutes, Family Ties, The A-Team, Simon and Simon, Murder, She Wrote, Knots Landing, Falcon Crest. So this is the era of the evening soap operas, if you will. We also had Cheers, Riptide, Magnum PI, Newhart, Night Court, Fall
Love Night
Guy,
Court.
Cagney and Lacey, Hill Street Blues, and then Dick Clark's TV bloopers and practical jokes. This was just a great era of TV and movies and music, thoroughly entertaining.
Two things real quick, Brian.
Go ahead,
One-
please.
One, do you have a timestamp on where we're at? Can you see? You don't have to tell. You don't have to tell me it. Just
25
can you-
minutes.
Can you mark it down?
Mm-hmm.
Because around this time, I need you to go back later and isolate Nick saying, "Ba-dum, AIDS."
Yeah.
I don't know for what we'll use it
Yeah.
for, but I need that isolation.
Sure.
Perhaps a ringtone for yourself. I think.
I like
I hope
that.
so.
Yeah.
It could it very well could be. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's
And two, they're not remaking, but kind of remaking
mhm.
Night Court.
Hmm.
John Larroquette's going to reprise Dan Fielding. It's
Mhm.
going to be based upon Harry's daughter, who is now a judge, or something along those lines. But yeah,
I give it a prelim thumbs down without even watching it.
I love John Larroquette, so
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'll at least watch
Okay.
it.
Brian's out already.
Yep. Anyway, so I rattle off a lot of stuff there. So in my era, great movies, great TV, technology was advancing itself a little bit more in the gaming and some other stuff. A lot of fun. Great time for me personally. So that's my argument for 1984. Hard to beat in my opinion. So
At this-
Very compelling.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, at this point, it's good. I agree. That's going to be
Yeah.
hard to beat.
yeah. So
I'm probably
go
convinced.
ahead, Nick.
Even though it's not all exactly right up my alley per se, but like as far as culturally speaking, you named off a lot of like big shit right there. That's
I mean, how many of
from
those
everything.
movies?
I mean,
A lot of those movies I just rattled off there.
Yep.
I still watch to this day, and it's still thoroughly entertaining with with Ghostbusters and Indiana Jones and all that stuff. Terminator, just a lot
Yeah.
of fun. Just a lot of fun stuff.
Well,
So,
that's it. Brian wins. You guys have a good night. We'll see you
Yeah.
next week.
this is a fun
All right.
episode. Yep, that was good.
So Dean,
Um,
what do you got? What do you got? Or sorry, Nick, you going next?
Nick-
It doesn't matter.
Well,
Well,
we're going chronological.
So,
Nick,
yeah, my
I'm sorry,
year
we
is
said that.
before Dean's.
So Dick, you're next. Sorry, what do you got, sir?
So I will go next. Now I don't have quite the laundry list there.
Mhm.
I've got some things.
he goes,
I-
it was good.
It was good. It was good. It was fine. It was fine.
Next.
I went with
I was with a
1996.
girl in '96, and we did. This
I was not.
wrestling. It was a
Oh.
wrestling thing. I'm kidding.
Dean may have been
You
Yeah.
smell what I'm cooking?
based on true events.
We'll share that story another time. Go ahead, Nick.
I went with 1996. I had a hell of a time. Like I'm sitting here. So I'm a big fan of the 90s. If you can't tell by the way I'm dressed, it was a very important time for me. I was born in '88, so I don't really remember much or anything really of the '80s. But the '90s really represents my childhood, the decade itself. I'm
Now, wait.
going through the.
What are you wearing, Nick? In case people can't see.
Oh,
you
I'm
right
sorry.
now. What are you
I
wearing?
have
That's
a
okay.
mighty.
What are
I
you
have a
wearing?
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers T-shirt on, which
Mhm, mhm,
is the be-all end-all of TV shows for me.
mhm.
When I was a kid, it was the best thing ever because it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And now, to this day, it is the best thing ever to watch because it's the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life. The
Mhm.
production value, the acting, it's just fantastic. My kids enjoy it, which is fun and nostalgic for me. But it's
You do
hilarious.
realize
it's so
you guys
bad.
realize that the one of the big giants talking heads is Bryan Cranston.
in the movie. Yes, yeah,
Oh,
the new
was it-
movie.
I thought he was one of the TV shows. Also,
No.
Was it in
No,
the
he
movie?
played it.
Okay.
Yeah, he played Zordon in the movie that came out in like 2017. I want to say it
Okay.
was. phenomenal. God, they did such a good job on that movie. It didn't do great in the box office. I just watched it Saturday afternoon. We watch it all the time at my house, but it was just so well done. They did a great job of bringing that dynamic into present day, and I thought they did a really good job with it. But who knows? They were supposed to make a sequel to it. I don't know if they're going to or not. But yeah, Bryan Cranston was Zordon, the big floating head that kind of runs the show there for everybody and makes them Power Rangers. So yeah, Power Rangers shirt, Mighty Ducks hat. The Mighty Ducks were a big deal in the 90s. That's actually, I can really accredit that to, I don't know about getting into hockey. It had a role. I saw the Mighty Ducks movies before I was ever a hockey fan, or at least the first one. And then when I first started getting into hockey, was via video games, which is pretty much the way I was introduced to every sport that I like. And I just picked the Mighty Ducks because I was familiar with the movies, and then started following the real life Mighty Ducks, and that was my kind of team when I was a kid. So, but yeah, the Mighty Ducks movies were a big hallmark for kids that grew up in the 90s, and Power Rangers was, I'd say, definitely one of, if not the biggest pop culture thing for kids in the 90s, probably with the Ninja Turtles and stuff. I don't know if the Turtles technically started in the 80s or, but they were still big in the 90s.
So with the shirt and hat, are you going to include the 1993 mustache?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all the time.
They're making a Mighty Ducks series. You know that, right?
They are, yeah, on Disney Plus. Yeah, I already saw the trailer for it. It looks pretty good.
Was it a series or a movie?
It's a series.
It's a series.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Emilio Estevez is in it.
Okay.
Yep. The one dude, Riley from Letterkenny, is briefly, and I don't know if he's a regular character, but he's in it. He was in the trailer. So yeah.
Long story short, Emilio Estevez is in jail. Things happened. Kids inappropriate. They pick it up from there. It's a very somber series for Disney Plus.
When he started on that, I'm like, did something recently happen that I'm not? Right. I missed that in the pop culture hit on Friday. I didn't hear about the Emilio Estevez thing.
Yeah, very weird turn.
He's also doing a sequel to Young Guns.
Oh yeah,
they are making that.
Yep, Young Guns 3.
Yeah, they're calling it Middle Age Guns.
That's right.
I think something like that. Nick,
Over the Hill Guns.
Over the Hill. I like that better.
Over the Hill Guns.
Nick, go ahead. So sorry. So
okay,
90s,
yeah. So 90s in general was so difficult. So I wrote down little snippets as I'm trying to narrow down, which year in the 90s pick. I mean, I'm looking through. A big Pearl Jam fan. Pearl Jam was established in 1990. At that time, under the name Mookie Blaylock, which was named after a basketball player. They later became Pearl Jam. 93 is when the Mighty Ducks, or the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, became an actual team. I'm a big Toronto sports fan. The Raptors became a team in 1995. Video games, PlayStation was like the system, that and N64 as well, but PlayStation came out in 96, or 95 rather. Power Rangers was 93. I'm looking at all these big things that meant so much to me, but eventually I landed on 1996 for a few reasons. First of all, 1996 was somewhere in the middle, and by 1996, all of these things that I just named had all been established, so they were all in my life. It was a part of my childhood. 1996, a young Nicholas was ripe old 8 years old back then. So when Nick Schaefer, 8 years old, was very much into all the things that I just mentioned. Played a lot. That's when I started playing roller hockey in my basement. We had an unfinished basement, so there's a lot of roller hockey playing. Blades of Steel 96 for the PlayStation was, I think, our first hockey video game we ever got into, which spawned me wanting to try to play hockey and all these things and watch hockey, really follow the sport.
Speaking of 8-year-old Nick and hockey, did you have the mullet in 80?
The mullet was gone by 96. The mullet was an early. The mullet was circa probably 92 to 4-ish, somewhere around there. That's when my parents still heavily, really influenced the way I dressed and my hair was done.
Right, and apparently drank heavily too.
Yes, of course. Yes. The mullet was a short run, but it was glorious while it lasted. So 96, I landed on many. I was 8 years old in 96. Video games were really cool at that time. What kind of bands did I like at 96? Probably I was listening to still a lot of the things, a lot of the music that Brian likes. That's a lot of the stuff that my dad likes. So there was still heavy influence of like hair bands and 80s rock music in my house. But as far as that time, I discovered a couple bands on my own. Collective Soul and Bush were, 96 was a big time for them. I believe Razorblade Suitcase came out by Bush. That was a big one, 96. But 1996, at the end of the day, what happened in 1996 that rocked pop culture forever? Jingle All the Way came out in 1996, ladies and gentlemen. Jingle All the Way was released in 1996. Fantastic year. Along with 1996.
And the world was never the same.
It was never the same. It was never the same. Christmas-themed comedy family movies were never the same. It literally shaped everything. 1996 also gave us such films as Space Jam, which was a big one for kids. An 8-year-old Nick in 1996, Space Jam was incredible. I remember going to the theater to see it with my buddies. That was a big deal. Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes playing some epic intergalactic basketball games. Pretty awesome. 1996, also video game wise, as being a big fan of the PlayStation, as I mentioned, my favorite franchise of the PlayStation, Crash Bandicoot, the very first Crash Bandicoot game, was released in 1996, and I still play those to this day on my PS4. Let's see, 96. We also have, so I've got a few stats here as far as just pop culture, music, movies, not as extensive once again as what Brian had written down, but 1996, some notable movies. Well,
you're not the stat man, so
I'm not the stat man. I don't have the stats. I don't know how many yards anyone rushed for or anything like that. I don't know. But in 1996, in movies, Independence Day was a big movie that year, which we, I think, discovered was our favorite fictional president featured, maybe one of our favorite fictional presidents featured in that film.
It was our favorite.
Twister was a big movie that year. Twister came out in 1996. The Birdcage, which I did not see in 1996, but seeing later, I fucking love that movie. Yeah, it's
Robin Williams, great.
Yeah, Robin Williams. Yeah. What else? The Rock, another one that we mentioned just recently during the action movies. The Rock came out in 1996. Not the wrestler. I don't know. Actually, Rocky Maivia might have surfaced somewhere around 1996 in the WWF.
He did. It was around that time.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. So, and also in music, 1996, the song of the year was "Kiss" by Seal. I think we all remember that one from the Batman Forever soundtrack.
Yes.
Fantastic song. I actually would be hard pressed to think of another Seal song off the top of my head other than that one. Crazy.
That's the main one. You're right.
It's the one. Album of the year was "Jagged Little Pill" by Canadian great Alanis Morissette. She won Album of the Year. Best New Artist went to Hootie and the Blowfish, and Darius Rucker was brought into our lives with his wonderful voice in 1996.
Real quick, since you mentioned that, Darius Rucker, Hootie and the Blowfish were doing a lot of southern different small venues in 1996. Doing different real small shows, and he had one guy up in New York that liked him. The program director didn't like the song. Nobody liked the song, whatnot, besides just one DJ in the afternoon, and he was able to play it one time a day. He played it one time a day in New York City. David Letterman happened to be driving to the show, heard it on the radio, called his producer and said, "These Hootie and the Blowfish guys, I need them on the show." That was a Tuesday. Hootie and the Blowfish were on David Letterman by Friday, and after and by Monday they had the top selling record in America.
No kidding. That's interesting.
Darius Rucker was just on a podcast I listened to yesterday. So
Darius Rucker was just at the house the other day, and we were talking about it. I never heard that story. And no, I
thought it was a fun story.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Literally overnight.
He was at your house overnight, Darius Rucker?
No, Millionaires Overnight. He said Millionaires Overnight. It's happened fast. Right. So what he's saying.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
But he was here.
All right. So, 1996 in film, other than the movies that came out, awards. Nicolas Cage won Best Actor in 1996 for Leaving Las Vegas.
Wow.
Susan Sarandon won Best Actress for Dead Man Walking, which was a Sean Penn film. Big fan of his. That was a good movie. Picture of the year went to Braveheart, Mel Gibson, 1996. That was a big one. And so 1996 in sports, you had the Chicago Bulls at the beginning of their second three-peat. 96, they won their first of the second repeat championships. So that was a pretty big deal. That was him fresh off of leaving for baseball too, because he was gone for that.
He came back for a partial season, and then they lost. But then you're right, his next full season.
That's right. Okay, that was his full one.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
And then let's see. I'm trying to think. I don't know who won in baseball the World Series. Probably the Yankees. It was '96. I don't know.
Can't remember.
Anybody know? No.
Don't know.
Okay. And then '96, I believe, was the year the Denver Broncos beat the Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta
Braves.
Yeah.
Okay.
'96.
A Chipper Jones-led Atlanta Braves in 1996. Okay. And then in hockey, that was a rare year in the '90s that the Detroit Red Wings took off from winning the Stanley Cup. The Colorado Avalanche actually defeated the Florida Panthers, which was pretty cool because I'm not sure if it was their first year as the Avalanche. I think it may have been. Previous to that, they were, again, we've talked about on the podcast, the Quebec Nordiques prior to that, and relocated and became the Colorado Avalanche. And was kind of, I know if it wasn't the first season as the Avalanche, it was shortly after, because it was, the Nordiques, similar to you guys' Cleveland Browns, when they were doing so well and they were, ramping up, they were a very competitive team, and then taken away from the city. Well, then the Nordiques are taken away from Quebec, go to Colorado and win a Stanley Cup. But Patrick Waugh, Joe Sakic, those are some notable guys on that team. 1996 Stanley Cup winners, Colorado Avalanche.
I'm sorry to correct theirs. I just looked it up. So '96, the Yankees beat the Braves in the World Series.
Oh, okay.
Just to correct.
My guess was correct.
My apologies.
But in the '90s, you would have been correct often if you just said the Yankees. So you're right.
The Braves beat the Indians in '95.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
96 was actually, in general, this is not a note I planned, but in the '90s in general, you had very much dynasties in all the major sports. You had the Yankees in baseball, you had the Red Wings in hockey, the Bulls in basketball, and then you could argue Cowboys, Niners, I guess a little of both in the '90s. Probably Cowboys more. Well, Niners were more. The Niners did win in '94.
Correct.
Against San Diego.
Yeah, 96.
Dallas won back-to-back in '92, '93.
Yep.
'94 was San Fran. '95 was Dallas against Pittsburgh. That was the last Cowboys Super Bowl.
Yeah, '95-'96 season was Super Bowl 30. That was the last Super Bowl of the Dallas Cowboys in Super Bowl 30. You're correct. Against the Steelers. 95-96 season. Yep.
Okay. Oh, so the '96 was the Cowboys Super Bowl victory.
In January of '96.
Technically, 1996. Okay.
Yep, that is correct.
Well, there you go. 1996, Dallas Cowboys defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers, and there you are.
Yep.
So 96, and 96 in general. I don't know. Again, I'm lumping the '90s really together, but '96, was. I enjoyed the music of the '90s. I think there's something to be said for nostalgia, and when you're growing up, and the music that is popular at that time, and the way it probably influences your tastes throughout the rest of your life. Even the music that I listen to today, even though it might not sound like a Pearl Jam or a Matchbox 20 or a Marilyn Manson or different things in different genres that I liked at the time. In one way or another, these bands that stick with you probably influence your taste going forward. And hip hop in the '90s, hit a whole other level with Tupac and Biggie and all that stuff. So it's just interesting time. For music in general. Alternative music was I liked alternative at the time. I mentioned Matchbox 20, Hootie and the Blowfish, Goo Goo Dolls were big, Alanis Morissette. So, just a big fan of the '90s in general, but I had to go with 1996. Just in general, Jingle All the Way came out, and close runners up. Jingle All the Way narrowly missed Picture of the Year. I believe Arnold narrowly missed Best Actor, and Sinbad.
Sure.
Sinbad, I think, won Best Supporting Actor for Jingle All the Way in '96. I think that's a fact. Don't look it up, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, let's go back and check those. Yeah.
Check the stats.
I'm confident. Don't worry, stat man. It's fine. I got it.
Think about the Arnold timeline there. 1984, The Terminator.
Right.
One of the most badass characters in movie history, the Terminator, the original Terminator, to fast forward 12 short years later, and he plays in the Jingle All the Way.
Motherfucker needed money.
Now, Howard
Sure.
Langston was a badass. He went out on Christmas Eve at all costs, and he wasn't coming home until he got little Jamie, that fucking Turbo Man. That's
That
badass.
alone, the Arnold
Badass.
Schwarzenegger factor might give me the edge alone. I think. I don't know. Dean, is that all, Nick? What else do you have for 96?
That's about. No, I'm wrapped up there. That's pretty much it for 96 for me.
All right. Well,
Okay. Dean, what do you got? Where's your napkin with your notes on it, sir?
my napkin's right here.
Okay.
And let me just tell you, if we're going to go ahead and try to convince each other of what our favorite year was, I think I have you guys within the year 1999. The year I graduated. I was 18 years old.
Beautifully feathered soul patch.
That's right. Things were changing in my body. We had Bill Clinton in the White House. In early in the year, he was acquitted. For lying or whatnot, and for sticking things where he shouldn't have been. And
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
That's right,
Miss Lewinsky. Fast forward, I did make a mistake.
Right. Oops.
Even presidents have personal lives.
So,
Steve Harvey, I have to apologize.
Leave me alone. Yeah, that was a big thing. Go ahead, Dean.
It was. Yeah. I mean, and that was February, I believe. Brian, you had in 1984, you had some really good movies, which I don't know if I can top it, but we're coming real close.
In
1999, we started with the Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. After, 20-some years of absence, Star Wars comes back. Once again, I am not comparing. I understand what you're sheeshing about, but I get it. But you got to think. All right, look at it before you went ahead and went to the theater to see it. The hype, coming back, and
agree.
The excitement of like a new Star Wars. You know what I mean?
We talked about this prior.
Which is why Brian hates it so bad now.
It was very huge.
Right.
It was very big at the time. Yes, go ahead.
So, given the hype and whatnot, then you have the Sixth Sense.
What a letdown. Go ahead.
The Sixth Sense, right?
Yes, good movie.
Toy Story 2, The Matrix.
Wow, was that 99?
Holy crap. 99. You had The Mummy. The World Is Not Enough. James Bond. The World Is Not Enough. American
Pierce
Beauty.
Brosnan getting the role. Go ahead. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Austin Powers, first one.
Yeah. Really, first one?
The Spy Who Shagged Me. Wasn't that the first
one?
Oh, that's the second one.
Was that the second one? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say I thought there was. Yeah, that's
my apologies.
Yep. That's all right.
You had American Pie. And then that's when South Park the movie came out.
That's my favorite musical of all time.
Yes.
Great
movie.
Very
great
clever.
soundtrack. Yeah.
Yeah, super good at the time. Even to this day. Go ahead.
Yep.
I mean, and then you have go to like popular musicians. I mean, you have from Lenny Kravitz. You had the was at the peak of Britney Spears. She just turned 18 or whatever, became legal. Kid Rock, Madonna and Cher were still out there. Korn, Christina Aguilera. So you had the boy bands, you had the pop girls going on, and you still had people like Madonna, Whitney Houston out there, Pearl Jam, Foo Fighters, Eminem and Limp Bizkit, Offspring, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Santana came back. I remember you guys remember.
Oh, Smooth. Rob Thomas, yeah.
Exactly, 1999. Country music was big back then. If you were into that, that you have people like Garth Brooks and Shania Twain out there. On this list, I don't know why Phil Collins is on there, but
he was out there.
Yeah, I mean he was still alive.
He was there. Yeah,
right. I don't know what he put out, but and then you have like TV shows. Old staples of.
Go ahead. I'm interested. Go ahead.
The Simpsons, Beverly Hills 90210, Frasier, The X-Files, Chicago Hope, one of the biggest ever, ER, and Friends.
Yep.
Seventh Heaven, Everybody Loves Raymond. Ally McBeal was. I got to stop rocking. I'm going to make the dude mad.
Matt's
Ally
upset.
McBeal, he is now. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Did you guys ever watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer? I didn't watch it in its first run, like originally on TV, but I moved into a new place one time, and the only thing we had was the whole series of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and the cable company wasn't coming for like a few days, so we binge watched the whole thing. So I watched it all in like 4 days. I really enjoyed it. A lot more than I should have probably.
I just picture a shelf in the corner with nothing on it but cobwebs and a box set of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We're like, you can watch that over there.
No, it was a mattress. It was a mattress in the living room with a TV on the ground. It wasn't even, it was before flat screen.
So it was even scarier than I imagined.
Right. So you have, King of the Hill, South Park, obviously. You have I don't know why this, but Teletubbies were a thing. I mean, for children.
Strange and frightening.
Right. Have you ever seen that picture of the Teletubbies in black and white? It is haunting.
It is.
It is haunting.
That's all it takes too, is that filter, the black and white filter in it. Yeah.
Google it, Brian. It is creepy.
It'll rattle you to your core.
Yeah. Just like, well, in the same sense, if you're going to Google that picture, go ahead and Google wet koala. Again, frightening.
Yeah.
We're going to put the black and white Teletubbies as one of the clips for the beginning of this show.
As you should. Put it the first one so to really scare people.
Yeah.
You have
I don't like 1999. I don't like 1999.
Off. You have Dawson's Creek, Sex and the City, that 70s shows. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Grace.
Oh yeah.
Some decent television.
So yeah, television in 1999 was good.
Yeah, this is still the era before you think about that. It went well before streaming still, so there was still some good programming on.
But 1999 is kind of where that all started shifting. I mean, so we'll move into technology, huh?
Okay.
Because that is when Napster was released.
Oh,
Napster changed the game for everything. You know what I mean? Way we do.
Sure.
Not only music, but like if you look at it, it kind of started how to transform how we consume even TV or movies.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of started that whole
on-demand thing.
Picking what you want.
Yeah. God, I remember that. It was like Napster, and then there was LimeWire.
LimeWire.
Yes.
Shazam was one of them, I think.
Yep.
Wow.
Bear Share.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
you used to get a lot of porn off that stuff. Then you have MySpace.
Yeah, it sure
started in 99.
Started in 1999.
Man,
really?
boy.
Oh, I didn't realize it went back that far.
Do you remember the when you downloaded like a fucking naked picture and it slowly came up, so you're getting her legs, you're not sure if that's a knee or if it's a vagina. Is that a titty? It might be a nipple.
Yeah.
You have to wait 25 minutes until that whole picture. All right, so
but
you
got it online. That's pretty.
I had a printer in my room, a computer and a personal computer and a printer in my room.
You were tacking that shit up on
in my teenage years? No. Well, I was printing them out from sites, and then like when I'd hear one of my parents like making their way toward my bedroom, I'm ripping it out of the printer and it's only half printed, and I'm like, shit. There's like weird like pictures that are like half printed because I'm ripping it out of the paper because I want them to walk in and see what I was printing out.
Young Nick was jerking off to a knee.
It looks like it gets pretty good up there. Can't be sure, but
I mean,
I can imagine.
Brian, he really had the idea, though. I mean, he had the paper. He had the paper. Didn't even need a sock. You shoot it on the paper, crumble it up, throw it in the basket. You're good.
One and done.
You kids and your half-printed naked ladies. In my time, we had to wait around for the Sears catalog and the bra ads,
or find a dirty 20-year-old Playboy in the woods. My time,
sure. Yeah, that's so funny. All right, so now Dean, did you have a MySpace?
I did.
How old were you? And
I was
you were-
18.
You were 18, so you had a MySpace
I had a MySpace.
profile. Yeah, I
Yeah.
recall opening up MySpace profile at some point or another. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I mean, technology. You still have Bluetooth was announced back then.
Okay, that's big.
Internet Explorer was already up to version 5 by 1999.
Okay.
Well, and the big one, the Y2k bug. I mean,
Oh my God.
yeah.
Yes,
how
I remember
nervous
that.
was everybody that
Oh my
it was
God.
they were going ape shit for nothing.
I worked at a bank at the time. Okay, so in 99 to 2000, I was in a bank, like a customer service call center environment, so people call in about their accounts and all that stuff. This is before apps, right? So if you want to know your balance for your bank,
Somebody had to tell you.
you had to call
Mhm.
or you had to go to the ATM and get your balance, or the bank, right? It
Right.
seems like so crazy that it's that short of a time ago, which is nutty. That's where it was. And they so I recall New Year's Eve, so 99 into 2000, they gave everybody a kit. Think about how crazy this is. It's like a kit of it was like a manual in case the world it should hit the fan, right?
Right. Tell you how to.
I may, you know what? I wonder if I
Where to
may
go.
have this manual somewhere in this
I wanna
house.
see
I'm not
it.
sure. I have to look
Yeah.
for it. They also gave you a flashlight with batteries, right? Why? Not sure. In case you happen to be in the building and the lights went out,
Sure.
right? This is not a joke, right?
I know, but it's funny.
And And if I recall correctly, a bottled water. I think.
one bottle of water.
I
It's
think
gonna-
so.
You want to keep that.
Just
keep that.
in case. And someone said, you got to be on call just in case. And I'm like, you're out of your minds. I live
Right.
in Akron. The call center was in Cleveland. This is Ohio Savings Bank in Cleveland, still to this day, downtown, right on East 9th Street. They're down the street from the Progressive Field. But so I used to commute that far for years, by the way. Ugh. But anyway, it's a whole other thing. I'm like, you out of your minds. I think it's New Year's Eve. Ain't no way in hell I'm driving from Akron to Cleveland for any reason whatsoever on New Year's Eve.
And if that
Fortunately,
was
they
the
never called.
scenario, all the power is out. You're going to be risking your life running through traffic. There's going to be
Yeah,
people going
crazy.
crazy.
Right.
Crazy insane. But you're
You
right.
over there with your flashlight and batteries and your one bottle of water trying
Right.
to get to.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
Isn't it funny? I recall that mania though at the time. It was pretty funny.
Sure.
It was people were very concerned that the
were-
computer
yeah.
clock was not going to be able to handle flipping. Of course, obviously, nothing at all
Airplanes
happened.
falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
toaster
pretty-
attacking you.
Pretty funny. Sorry, Dean. Go ahead. Finish. What else beyond the
No.
Y2? That's pretty good. Mhm.
No, I mean, I wanted to end the technology on the Y2K. I think the only thing I left is sports. The Denver Broncos.
Yep.
Won
Beat
over
the Falcons. I remember.
Beat the Falcons. Yeah.
John Elway's last that he rode off in the sunset for that game.
Right. The returning Cleveland Browns took
Oh,
Tim
brother.
Couch, in the overall first pick.
Yes, and they went on to many years of success.
No need to look up the stats. That's what happened.
just
Don't bother,
trust
that's
us.
what
Don't-
happened.
Yep. Don't worry about it.
By the way, Nick, I recall that Denver Broncos Atlanta Falcons game. The preview act of that game was the Kiss. Was Kiss reunited?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that's right. Yeah,
The original 4 members, they were still in their reunion thing.
yeah.
96.
96.
excuse
Yeah,
me.
was the
99.
well
99 still a thing.
96.
99.
96 is when they did Kiss Unplugged. But yes,
Sorry about that.
Unplugged.
That
Back
was
to
it.
the 99.
You should have mentioned that. That would give you an edge. That's another
Yeah,
one.
forgot.
Ah.
Well, I got it now.
That's a
Is it
good one.
closed?
That's a
Too
good
late?
Count. Nope. Too late.
Nope. That helps. Dean, sorry.
Right.
Go ahead.
World Series. Yankees won over the Braves again. Same as in next
Yawn. Yep.
year.
mhm.
Right.
Same as it ever was.
Basketball, the NBA Finals. San Antonio Spurs defeat the New York Knicks 4-1.
Okay. Spurs they had a little dynasty back then for sure. Yep.
Right. The WNBA, I guess, was a thing. And in
Mhm.
boxing,
Mm-hmm.
no, the WNBA Houston Comets beat the New York Liberty.
At the time, Cleveland had a team at the time. The Rockers.
Yes,
The
back then.
Rockers.
Yes,
yeah.
that's right.
I went to a
That's
couple
right.
games there. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Then you have well, the boxing. Oscar De La Hoya got beat by Felix Trinidad.
Okay. Yep. He was big
split
back then.
12 rounds. Yeah.
Both. Yep.
The dog racing I want to keep to myself, but anyways, no, I think that about covers sports and the big ones. But given my movies and music, I don't know if I can top 1984, but I gave it my best.
That's good. I think all three very valid arguments. I mean, personally, that was my last full year without having a child. 1999. Ladies and gentlemen.
Born in 2000. Wow.
Born in 2000, September. Yep.
So
wow, she's going to be able to drink this year.
Yes.
That's insane. Robin told me that at the beginning of 2020. She goes, kids that were born in 2000 are going to be able to drink this year. I'm like, it's insane to me that people that were born in like 96 can like drink now. It's weird.
Crazy. That's insane.
So 1999, you convinced a woman to have sex with you. Huh.
No, it was early in 2000.
She was born what, September?
Yep.
You said? Okay.
Well, close. Yeah, we're getting close.
Okay.
So like on New Year's Day, you were like, let's go.
Well, yeah, it was close. Close.
Yeah. He was celebrating for my birthday, with sex.
Yeah. At least somebody was on your birthday, right?
That's right. Makes one of us.
That's right.
My stomach.
I'll tell that.
Okay.
I'll tell that story some other time.
All right. So three compelling arguments. Nick.
Yes.
What do you think? Do you have any? Does any give you an edge? We may not be unanimous here, and that's okay. But do you?
I mean, obviously, my favorite's mine because it's got all the stuff that I love in it. But I mean, as far as making the argument of, it's like when we talk about Star Wars, and I say I know Empire Strikes Back is the best one, but Return of the Jedi is my favorite. It's that 96 is my favorite of these 3 years. Obviously, that's why I picked it. But I think 1984, culturally speaking, and what are we if not a pop culture podcast? I would have to say that you take the cake in that regard when you look at not only the things that happened in 84, but a lot of the things you mentioned still stand the test of time. I mean, these movies are still widely, appreciated. The bands that you listed off, I mean, people know who those people are all these years later. I mean, I would have to say 1984, I'm convinced, is the most influential of these 3 years that we've presented. So I'd go with my votes for 84.
Dean, what do you think?
Movies alone, 1984 has it. The list of movies you rattled off were, I mean, like Nick said, culturally significant to our lives and every life that's come, since. I mean, just that group, that list. Gremlins and Karate Kid. Enough said.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, I had a blowjob president in Pearl Jam, but you had the Karate Kid and Gremlins. So
there we go.
I'm going to go with 1984.
And I'm actually glad to hear you guys' arguments because it's like, I think back, for me at least, in my time, the 90s were, I'm in my 20s, so the 90s just, they were sort of there. I was doing my own thing.
You were drunk the whole time.
Probably. That's probably a very fair assessment there. We were hanging out, probably listening to the same shit that we were listening to in the 80s. I recall, like, at the time, like Back in Black, AC/DC. I don't care what year it was, what time of day it was. That was, if we're going to sit around and hang out, that was typically the first album we played on CD, and that was from 1980, for crying out loud. So it just kind of came and went. But it was a very compelling argument, though, Dean. I mean, the late 90s, I kind of forget how, even 96, Nick. So, I mean, for me, though, I'm not going to change
real
my
quick.
mind. Go ahead.
Before you go any further, Brian, you mentioned AC/DC, something I just watched. If you go on YouTube, I think I may have shared it on my Facebook, but it is Highway to Hell, done by over 100 musicians.
I saw that.
in a stadium.
Yes,
like
very good.
Like a whole row of drums, a whole row of guitars, whole row. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Nick, you got to pull it up on YouTube. It's Highway to Hell, 100 musicians or something like that. But it's pretty badass.
Pretty sweet thing.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think we're going with sounds like 84 pop culture between our 3 years, which is
sounds to me like Brian convinced us.
There you
I
go.
would say so.
There you go. All right, so guys, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about our
pause for the cause
birth year in pop culture history, and try to convince ourselves who has the best birth year. We'll be right back.
Brian's going to try to tell us why 1932 is so good. Whatever.
We had the talkies.